Alright, we're going to start on the background first. I've already poured my paint. I've just got some black and white on here. I'm going to be using the 1-inch flat brush for the background, and we're just going to do a mix of white and black to create a gray background. We're going to not over mix it so it stays streaky, and we're going to use diagonal strokes through the whole thing. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to grab some of this black and I'm just going to mix it in real loosely to this white. Not all the way, that way the color is kind of marbled in there. We'll see what that looks like here. Okay. Might need to go a little bit lighter, but that's alright. I'm just going to go ahead and put this on and I'm going to start playing with it. You can see I'm getting a real streaky effect, and I'm keeping my brush strokes completely diagonal, making sure I hit the edges of my canvas where it kind of goes over the lip of the canvas a little bit. And if you feel like one area is just a little bit too light, just grab a little bit of black right on the corner of your paintbrush and streak it in. I'm using the flat part of my brush, not the edge. If you guys are noticing you're getting some skid marks across the canvas, all you gotta do is dip your paintbrush in your water, tap it off, puts a little bit more moisture back in and keeps the paint moving on the canvas. And we might have to do a second coat. I always like to do a second coat, make sure that I've got enough paint on my canvas. Gonna make sure I got all these diagonal strokes, keeping it streaky, not blending it, just getting it on there. Alright, that's looking pretty good to me. I'm gonna let this dry and probably put a second coat on there after it's dry, and we'll be back in just a minute. Alright guys, we're back here. I did put 2 coats on my background, and now I'm ready to lay my sunflower template down. This is what it looks like. If you printed it out for the 12 by 16, it's going to come on 1 piece of paper. This is my original, which I just worked with 2 pieces of paper and taped them together. So, yep, I think I'm just going to kind of center it a bit, and then I've got tape here, I've got a ruler, and I've also got this Cerro paper here. Cerro paper is like a transfer paper, and it comes with one waxy, chalky side. So you just take it, rub it. Make sure that we put the chalky side down. This goes underneath your image. So we're just gonna put the image over the top here. I am gonna tape my image down because I do not want it to be moving. So I'm just using blue painter's tape. Trying to make sure it's level. I'm just gonna give it one at the top and one at the bottom. Alright, so now the only thing I have to do to get this image on here is just retrace it. So I'm going to start, and you guys will see what I'm doing. We'll check it, make sure everything's good, and then I'll probably pause the video and let me finish up my template, because it is going to take a while and you guys don't need to see all that stuff. So we're just going to start here, and I'm just tracing. You're going to want to put enough pressure to apply your image, but not enough that you poke through the canvas. Too light, you won't be able to see it. So we're just gonna check it here, make sure everything's groovy. Peel it up, and I can see it. I don't know if you guys can see it with the camera glare, but I'm gonna be able to see all my lines. So I'm just gonna go ahead and trace this, and then we'll be back in one second. Alright guys, our image is on there. Next step is we are going to map out the 1-inch border around. We're going to kind of frame this in. What I'm using today is called a grid ruler. It's actually my quilting ruler that has now been my everything ruler. These are handy because they're see-through and they've got the markings. It's a 2-inch ruler and it's 2 by 18. So for the smaller canvases like these, they work great. I don't have to stop and go again. There's grass in the center area, so I don't have to go from A to B. Since we're just doing an inch, I'm just gonna line it up with that 1-inch line and make my mark. And I'm actually going to use a watercolor pencil. You guys are welcome to use a graphite or just a regular pencil. Just trace it very lightly. The watercolor pencils are nice because they will wash right into your paint mix that you're doing. I find that this ruler is just a little bit quicker than the other rulers. And we do have a link on our website for purchasing them. I'm going to go ahead and turn it. Always make sure that you're turning your canvases so it's comfortable for you to paint on. There's no reason to be straining to see or straining your back. Alright, so I've got my 1-inch border in there. And what we're probably going to start on is I'm just going to do some general outlining with my black. That way I don't really lose all my cool lines that I have in there. I'm just going to go ahead and put some of those in there now. So I'm just going to add some black to my plate. I'm going to use my detail brush. And I'm just going to follow some of the outline. You don't have to do the whole thing. Mainly what I'm worried about is my inside lines on my petals, and the inside lines on my leaf area. So let's just start filling in real quickly, or take your time, some of these black areas, and we'll probably have to go over them again, but these are just telling me these lines are here. I'm not getting too fancy. Just enough to cover those basic inside lines. And I'm also trying to decide whether we're going to fill the sunflower in first or start on the outside and work our way in. I'm kind of using my pinky like a little, a unipod. Wouldn't be like a tripod, it's a unipod. Just keeps my hand steady. I already have a hard time with keeping my hand steady. And I'm not too worried about being completely uniform in the thickness of my blacks. I don't know a whole lot about stained glass, but it doesn't seem to be completely uniform. Like I said, I'm not doing like a fantastic job on this part, as I'm just going to come in with color, and I'm probably going to be touching up these black lines at the very end of the painting. Just doing this ahead of time will help us keep these lines. And I'm getting my more finer lines by loading my paint on the tip of my brush, and that is when I roll my paintbrush in my paint, and then I roll it to a tip here, and then I only apply very light pressure. It's like you're barely touching, that you're barely touching the canvas. And the more pressure you put, you get a thicker line. petals shapes. Did kind of go on the line or drag my finger across that, but that's alright. I'm going to do the inside of my leaf as well. That way I don't lose my lines when I'm coming in with my green. I can be more liberal with my paint and not worry about having to get these lines perfect. They don't have to be perfect. I'm going to go ahead and just outline my leaf too, just because I'm already here. Yeah, I'm satisfied with that. It's a little wet yet, so let's go ahead and do our border real quick. So the border is a mix of cobalt blue, the green oxide, or any primary blue, and standard green. And it's usually about a 50-50 mix. Of course, if you want it more blue than green, just add more blue, and vice versa. We are going to add just a little bit of white into the mix just to make it more opaque and cover a little bit better. Again, trying to stay in the lines. You guys will take your time. I'm going to be using my 1/2-inch brush here. And I'm just going to be taking my time and going slow and making sure that I've got a nice clean edge around my border. So what I'm mixing is, I'm actually gonna probably need more paint, but we'll mix this up first. Just a little bit more blue. I like my teals a little bit more blue. Everybody's different. So I've got that nice pretty blue. And then I'm just going to add some white to it. And what it's going to do is it's going to lighten it up a little bit, but it's also going to make it a whole lot less transparent. And you might need to do 2 coats. You might get away with just doing 1 coat. So let's start here. I'm going to start down here. And this is where turning it and getting comfortable with your canvas is going to make things much easier because of the amount of light that's in here. It's also warm under these lights, but it also makes it a little bit hard to see my lines sometimes. So I'm going to make myself comfortable and just pick this canvas up and get real intimate with it. I don't know. Okay. And yes, we're definitely going to need 2 coats on this. And I'm definitely gonna have to make some more paint. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that real quick. Actually just gonna mix these two together. A little bit of white. Alright, I'm gonna wipe off the excess. I got a lot of paint in my little tiny brush here. Alright. And I'm gonna pick my canvas up and I'm just gonna do the same thing. And I do notice it's slightly different color. That's alright, because I'm doing 2 coats. And you'll notice that even I have a hard time staying in the lines. And it's okay because we're going to come back with our black and we're going to put some lines in there to make it look more stained glass. Like I said, you guys do whatever's comfortable for you. If you need to draw your edge of your border on first and then fill it in, that's fine. Any way you do it, this is just it's alright. We'll go to a quick dry break. For me anyway. If you guys want to shorten your dry times, and a good thing to use is a hair dryer on cool. You don't want hot. Come in here. I'm going to let that dry for a minute just so that I don't drag my arm through it. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and actually, confession, I started doing my second coat and realized I should probably do that with you. So I've got half of it done. So go ahead and start on your second coat on your frame. My canvas to make it more comfortable. This is another reason I don't paint on an easel. It's just not comfortable for me. I'm used to painting it flat or in my lap, having control of it, moving it several different ways. Alright, and the only thing you guys didn't see me paint was my second coat on this side and this side. I just wanted it a little bit drier before I came back so that I can immediately just start on my petals and the inside of this painting. Sort of rinse my brush out really well. Rinse my other brush out really well. And then I am going to get my, we're gonna need burnt sienna and yellow oxide for the petals. There it is. And you're probably gonna need a couple coats on these as well. The burnt sienna is definitely more transparent. We can add a little bit of white to it to make it a little less transparent. Alright, I'm switching to my detail brush, which is still a pretty good sized round brush. And I'm just going to fill in. You can use your reference photo, or reference, that's what it's there for. And just color in some of the back. Petals will be the darker burnt sienna, and the ones more up front, in the front, will be your yellow oxide. So I'm just going to do my back ones first. Take some of this, and maybe just grab just a little bit of white. Just enough to make it a little less transparent. And I'm just going to start coloring in, just like you would a coloring book. And with the white, a little bit of white mixed in there, it's kind of giving it a glass, like opaque glass look anyway. This one looks like it's behind. And being more transparent, I'm able to go right over those black lines, and I'm still able to see them. So when I come back at the end, I'll be able to just touch those up. Alright, and then I'm gonna rinse out my brush. Grab some yellow oxide. There's a little bit of... This isn't as transparent, but I am gonna add just a little bit of white into the mix. Alrighty, and then I'm going to start filling in the rest of my petals. And you can still see my black lines underneath, so if I go over the lines just a little bit, it's okay. So we're going to go back and thicken those up. I'm going to turn my canvas so it's a little bit easier to get to. Something here. A little bit more. And this right here was just one of the black lines I did not fill in. So I'm just going to leave that. Okay, I'm going to rinse off. I'm going to do the same thing with my green oxide. Pour some just straight green oxide. And then I'm probably going to mix it with a little bit of white. Make it a little less transparent. does make it a little bit lighter. That's okay. I'm not gonna mix it all the way either because I'm kind of digging how it's looking a little glassy already. All right, and then here we are going to fill in our stem. And you can definitely tell like this is a little bit more translucent color, so this is definitely going to need a second coat. More stem. And we're going to paint it all the way down to that border line. Trying not to cross into that blue. You don't have to get super close to the lines because we are going to come back in with black and we're going to line everything and really give it that stained glass effect. I really hope my head is not in the camera this time around. Last time I made a video, there was a lot of gray hair showing. I don't know, the camera really picked that up, of course. On my leaf area. Just like doing a coloring book, except for I get to go out of the lines just a little bit on the inside lines. That's why we put those lines there. Ooh, got a little close to the edge. Alright, now basically we're going to repeat this entire step. So we're going to go back and we're going to redo our petals. We're going to redo the stem. And I don't think you guys need to see me paint each individual petal again. So I'm going to pause here for myself and get that out of the way and then be right back. Alright guys, we are getting on the other side of this thing here. So our next thing is we're going to fill in the middle part of our sunflower. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this burnt sienna. And I'm going to mix just a little bit of black in there so we get a darker brown. I'm just going to fill in the inside. So we get our first layer on there. It's going to take a couple layers, but you know what? We can get started on this black outlining that we need to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and start doing my black panel outlining, getting, excuse me, some of that done. Kind of has a cartooning effect to this. The thing about stained glass is it doesn't have like an ending line, so we need to take this line all the way somewhere. All the lines need to connect to another piece of black. Had a hard time finishing this video between burning the kids' dinner and putting them to bed Yes, I burned some nuggets pretty good tonight. You guys won't see that. That'll be in the edited. It will not be in the edited version. But there was a panic moment where I said some choice words and took off. When I realized when I came down here originally just to set up for the next frame, and then I got involved and started painting, and then I started another frame because I was into it, and then you can tell where I silently had a freak out, and I got up and I took off running, yelling about nuggets. Maybe that'll be in the blooper reel, if we make a blooper reel. Those nuggets were not edible, I'll tell you that. And they weren't smoking or anything, but they were charred pretty good. Alright, that looks pretty good so far. I am going to do another round of that brown color before I start on my blacks down below. Just going to grab some more of the Sienna. And some black. And just go over this again. Alright, so I've got a good layer of the brown on there. It's kind of wet, so I'm just going to take a little bit of black on my brush, and I'm just gonna work it in here, because we just need a little bit of some shading going on, just to make it darker. And since it's wet, or I'll grab a little bit more burnt sienna. Ooh. And just kind of back brush it in there, and it does this nice fade. And then we're done with the center. And by the time we come back with the dark or the black, it'll be ready to be painted over. So I'm going to continue on with, I'm actually going to get some fresh black. And continue on with my line work. And I'm just going to line this. And if there's any chalky residue left after your cereal paper, it's important to wait for your painting to completely dry. And then you should be able to wipe it away with just a damp cloth and a damp, wet, clean cloth, yeah? A little crazy right there, so I'm actually just gonna connect these because I had a little boo-boo. Happy little accident. Alright, now I'm going to pick up this canvas for comfort reasons, and I will go ahead and refill in my lines. Darken them up. Sort of see the lines I had before. I turned away from the super bright lights. I have 3 studio lights coming down on this bad boy. So part of it is really hard for me to see this bright light. Hoping that you guys can see it. Remember, these lines need to connect. One over here. That's good. All right. We're still a little wet in the center, but I think that we can kind of do we're going to do kind of a blocky circle around the outside, because this in itself would be a different color of glass. And I actually just did another circle. If your paint's still a little wet, you can wait for it to dry. And maybe another little circle in the middle. Okay. And I'm just gonna put in some of these lines here, because everything needs to be connected. Okay. I'm trying to decide if I want to do the lines out on the outside first. I think I will. And I'm going to use my 1/2" brush. So to get a fine line, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to get some paint on there, and then I'm going to make sure that I brush it on both sides to a really fine tip. And I should be able to control a straight line longer than my detail brush. My detail brush I have a really hard time with. And I'm just going to take and line nice and easy. Don't forget to breathe. Stick it on there. Keep the same amount of pressure. Don't go all the way down, just to... Actually, you will go all the way down. Forgot about those corner pieces. Got a little out of control there on the corner, but that's okay. So I guess I should take this all the way up. Tap that in. Alright, there's my first border line. Let's see if I can make the rest of them look as straight. Alright, so now I'm not sure whether I prefer drawing lines coming closer to me or drawing farther away. Ooh, it's all right. Such a silly thing, but yeah, you hold your breath, like, for some reason. You guys make sure you're grabbing your canvas and you're super comfortable with it. You could also do this with a paint pen. I am going to use a white paint pen just to do the highlights on my black. I don't even know what that part of the stained glass is called. Lines? My outline. This one has a corner piece. This one has a corner piece. This is probably the hardest part. And going for that last line. Don't get all weird. But yeah, I struggle to keep my lines straight. I've got the shakes a lot of the time, and that also comes with age. Okay, so we've got that bit of black on there. And then we just need to connect the sunflower to our borders. So I'm just gonna do this freehand. I'm gonna go to this border. Try not to go over it. I'm gonna bring one piece in here. I'm going to follow this line here and come down. I'm going to follow the end of my leaf and come down cornerwise. Maybe follow this around to make the leaf. And then maybe this piece of glass. Like that. Oops, I missed that. And then I'm just going to touch this piece. Some over here. And this looks like a good piece to bring up. Okay. Do another. in the corner. And come right into that one of those petals. And maybe from this petal out there. You guys can put in as many of these as you want. I just kept it pretty simple. And that's what that looks like. There's one more step here, and that is just to add the tiny little bits of highlight, which I'm going to use a paint pen for, because it's easy. This is just, oh, that's a black one. Okay. Alright guys, so I found my white paint pen. I don't know, I mean it's pretty obvious that it's white. I don't know how I was missing it, but it was pretty much right in front of me. So the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just take some simple white little tiny highlights just on my black. In a paint pen you usually have to prime a little bit, which just kind of hold the tip down and it'll load the paint into the pen. I'll just kind of try it out here. Yep. And we're not going to outline the whole thing. These are just like small little highlights, and then they're just going to be here and there. So you can do this with a paintbrush. I just needed super fine lines. It looks fine without the highlight as well. This is just going that extra step. And for those of you with shaky hands, these are a little bit easier to use. I'm going to highlight some of these lines that I painted in. last thing to do would be to highlight these some of these lines here. Again, super shaky hands. Almost done, guys. Oh boy. And I'm not doing a full straight line. I'm just doing where I think there might be highlights. Maybe on the fatter bits versus the skinnier bits. And I'm gonna call this one done. I'm thinking this looks pretty great. All I need to do is sign it, and then I'm done. I'm gonna use my black paint pen now that I have that out. And I like to sign it in a place that's not gonna be super obvious. So, let's see. Maybe I'll just sign it right in the stem area. And it doesn't matter which direction, where you put your signature. One time I accidentally signed a painting upside down. It was abstract, but it was actually a sunflower as well. But I realized on my way to give it to somebody that I had forgotten to sign it. And in my haste and outside of her house, I just happened to have a paint pen. And I went for it, and as soon as I handed it over, I realized my funny little mistake. Quirky, it's okay. It happened, and I'm okay with it because it's still sold, and she likes it. Let me know how you guys did. You want to post on our group a photo of your stained glass sunflower. That'd be great. Check us out on Facebook under Creative Canvas on the Go. Our website is creativecanvas406.com, and our YouTube channel is Creative Canvas Sisters. Sorry. So many names. But yeah, all the information is right on our website as well. We have a lot of painting tutorials coming out, so stay tuned. Alright, thanks guys.